So, what are the 5 principles of conscious creating? I'm going to start right away with the first one. The first one is explore and observe. Right? This is the first principle and phase, if you want, of conscious creating. We are all in this phase in the beginning of our journey here on earth, right? When we do not know who we are, we do not know what we want, and we do not know what we don't want. Some of us do remember, but most of us have this like an amnesia where we forget all of these things. We forget that we even choose to be here in these human bodies, right? Most of us choose deliberately to be here and have a certain experience or bring some gifts to the world, or it was a decision that we made from the non-physical, and then we came into this denser reality, into the physical form, and we forgot. So what happens is that in this explore and observe phase, we are learning about ourselves. We are adapting to the human experience, right? And we learn what we want and we learn what we don't want. We learn through the contrast. We learn through what we call bad experiences and good experiences as well, until we find a point in our lives where we start desiring something. And this is the second phase, the second principle of conscious creating. It is called desire and dream. Okay? When we explored enough and observed enough, then we have this desire. And desire is the spark of conscious creating. Without desire, there is no conscious creating. If you do not desire something for yourself, for your life, for the world, for something, then you have nothing to create. You don't create anything if you don't desire that. Now, most of us desire by autopilot. We don't actually have to force a desire, It happens while navigating our lives, okay? And some of us feel at certain point in our lives, especially when you are young kids and children, we have desires when we are young, right? We want to, let's say, dance, or we want to play, or we want to do things that really excites us as kids. And we start to suppress that desire, and more in life we will suppress this desire continuously. So we really think at some point in this journey that to desire something might even be something like, oh, I'm crazy, I should be realistic. Why do I desire things like this? Why do I want to write a book, for example? Let's say you have a desire to write a book. Who am I to write a book? Who am I to be a coach? Who am I to do that? Who am I? Like all of these self-sabotaging, small-minded, negative things that we tell ourselves suppresses our desire. So we have to really open ourselves to feel back, what is our desire? Why do we really came here? Because we all have that desire within ourselves, no matter what that is. And there's many desires, it's not just one. Examples: I desire an amazing family, a beautiful, healthy, wealthy family. I desire to have a lot of impact and empower people in this world, right? I desire to be strong and stable and confident and bring my magic into this world, bring my big gifts, because I feel that there is so much wisdom that I tapped into this life and I'm yet to tap into. And I want to share that with the world. Another one, I desire to be a clear vessel of God to flow through me and do what I came here to do. So all of these are desires, and some of them are little desires, little from our human perspective, right? Like, I desire to have more money to afford better food and better accommodation and a better car. All of these desires, we have to acknowledge this. These are not ego. These are basic survival needs that we all need to have. And we also have been taught in the past that to desire something, there's many spiritual teachings saying that if you desire something, you're not enlightened enough. You're still in the ego. You shouldn't desire. You should be a plant and do nothing and just be. Don't follow that. Desire, if you can give that away, and it's important to not desire things because then you don't attach, So that's one thing that is good about this. However, if you're a creator, you will always desire because you came here to create. And desire is a spark of creation. So we can desire and dream with eyes open and let our imagination surprise us as much as we want and really tap into all of these areas of imagination and desire and feel what we really want. Allow ourselves to at least feel that on an energetic level and not suppress it right away as it comes. Well, I'm not, where am I thinking about it or whatever. No, feel that, let that flow through you. Let that desire expand you and make you want things for yourself. Make you feel alive instead of following someone else's lifestyle or idea of life or expectations of you and so on, or someone else's dream if you're an employee to someone else's company, or that maybe you do a job that you don't like. You can be an employee and still do what you love doing. So I'm not saying that excludes pleasure, if you're employed. However, allow yourself to feel fully the desire in whatever way that comes to you. Okay, so the third principle of conscious creating, the third principle and the third phase of conscious creating is create and play. Okay, this is the phase when we not only have felt our desire and dream and really tune into it and acknowledge it, and when we do that, we are already creating it in the quantum, and therefore then at some point it comes into the physical reality. And we are called to a certain type of action, inspiring action. And that's when we start creating. We start to play with reality so that it becomes what we want it to become. And to give an example here, let's say you are desiring to write a book. That's what you feel. You feel to write a book. In the third phase, what you're doing is actually you take action on that desire. You take your laptop or your notebook and you start writing. No matter what you write, doesn't matter if you actually write the introduction in the first chapter, or you just write notes, or you just write ideas about the book or whatever you're writing. You are actually starting to create and play. You're taking your desire seriously and you're acting upon it. You're ready every day, every morning. Okay, I have this desire. Let's see, how do I bring it more into reality today? And that's the create and play phase, when you're actually co-creating with God, with other people, however you want to call it, with whatever tools you have, depends on what you want to create. You are creating that which you feel called to experience, okay? Because you are the creator. So, that's the creative, that's the third phase, the create and play phase. Now, many of us disconnected from our playful nature and creative nature when we were kids, when we were 7 years old or even before that, and we have been put into this institutions that we call educational systems, which are very, let's say, I don't want to say negative things about them, because some of them could be useful and some aspects of them are useful, but let's say they are very suppressing our playful nature to a large degree, because we're not supposed to sit there on a chair for 8 hours and study things that we don't even have interest in most of the time. So the way they are made, the way they are created, the structure in which these things happen, and the organization and everything, the administrations and the expectations are insane. if you ask me. They don't consider your human soul in that, in your desires and your needs as a human being. So they don't ask you, what do you want? No, this is the school, this is what you have to learn to be successful, these are the programs available. If you have any other desire or dream, forget about it. It's not welcome here. Hopefully you can find eventually a university or something that resonates more or less with what you want to do and what you have desired and dreamed. And you could follow that, but that's very rare, and it's very rigid, and it's very entangled and structured. And I never met a highly successful person and really deeply fulfilled and empowered person who said, well, I made it because of university and because of my school. That's what I made it in life. No. All people I found to be extremely successful, billionaires, millionaires, geniuses, doesn't matter. The money doesn't represent self-worth, really. It's just an outcome. It's just a side effect. But all of these crazy people who became something that the world never seen before, all of these people dropped school to a certain degree, or they were simply getting out of that box, right? And I'm not saying that because you did education and whatever that you should drop that. No, I also did. I studied at university. I did management and economics and stuff like that, and some things were useful, but 90% of it was not. And I still use those 10% when I needed it, if I did it and I needed 10% sometimes, and that was good. But most of the time is our spirit, is our really deep purpose that makes us do what we do, not the school and not all of these things, which most of the time they actually suppress our passion, our nature, and our desires. And we forget how to play, how to imagine, how to be open to infinite possibilities. Because we have been put into these systems of indoctrination. I can say that because that's what they are. And nowadays this changes, nowadays there are alternatives, nowadays it's better, of course. But when I was a kid, when I was in school, I was blessed to be in Waldorf school, which is different, it's public, it's private, and it supposedly teaches you more into your power and so on. But even that was a little bit restrictive. So I can only imagine how was the public schools. Because I had friends in public school who told me, and they were like sad, and all the time, they were not available to play because they were busy being at school and then doing homeworks and weird schedule every time. It's crazy, right? So we build ourselves like that, and it's okay. There's no one to blame for it. It's just that in an ideal world, that in my ideal world that lives in my heart so deeply, that is not the way. That is not the way. Not the ideal way. That is not the best way. There are so many better ways. I would rather homeschool my child than sending him to public school, to be honest, to experience what I or my friends experienced. Unless it's maybe 2 hours a day, yeah. A few hours a day. And yeah, we let's say we did what we knew based on what we did what we could based on what we knew. And there's no one to blame for it. It's just our expansion of consciousness. I don't blame my teachers. I had amazing teachers. I'm grateful for them. I'm grateful for everything, really. I'm just saying that that's where we lose. In those years is where we get disconnected from being playful and from our imagination most of the time. In those 7 to 14 to then 21, when we are supposed to explore life and get out into life and be alive and experience, in those years we are disconnecting completely, and then we become adults, and adults are really just broken kids nowadays. Most of adults in today's world are broken kids who never have their needs met. This is what this is what I'm seeing. This is what I was, to a degree. This is what my mom was. This is what kids today who participate in these systems are. And it's harsh to hear, I know. But it is what it is. We just have to discern and be aware and choose for ourselves differently. As much as we can. As much as we allow ourselves to believe that we can, really. Because nothing is really impossible if you truly believe in it, if you truly desire it. Alright, so let's go to the fourth principle of conscious creating. Okay, the fourth principle is integrate and detach. So this happens when you integrate your creative experience, but you don't identify with it. And this is what most people don't do. Most creators don't do this. So let me explain this. Okay? So in this integrate and detach phase, you are looking at what you have created in your life. To give an example, you wrote a book. Let's say you wrote a book, and you're looking at that book, and you integrate the entire journey of how long it took you to write that book, what you have been through to write that book, realizing that that book was first and foremost for yourself. You did it because it excited you. You did it because you had to first learn through that book. And then the world can also receive your gift. Okay? So this is why it's important. This phase of integrating and detaching is to see the book, to see your creation, to see what you did, what you have created. Become part of you, become part of your experience, but it's not who you are. And most people fail here. Most creators, artists, celebrities, actors, highly successful people fail to do this. This is why they go deep into drugs, they go on a dark side, they go on a dark journey. Because they do not actually see what they did. They were not aware why they were doing it, first and foremost. They did not took the time to integrate their successful experience, their success. Their nervous system cannot hold that amount of feedback from the world, from the world around them, right? To give an actor as an example here, most actors who attain that first level of success, when they created something and they look back at it, they become extremely overwhelmed with the reflections of the world, with how the people perceives them through their role, and so on and so forth. And therefore they become attached to that. They become attached to that role, to that reality. There are even actors who killed themselves because of their role. And this is just an example in the acting industry. This goes everywhere, in every area of life. When we attach to our creation, we are forgetting what this journey is all about. And this journey is not about the creation, it's about creating. This journey is about you being the creator, allowing God to flow through you, to give into this world, and to yourself included, everything needed that needs to flow through you. And you just drop that and let go of it. You don't attach that to your ego. You don't put yourself on a pedestal, because then what happens is that you're gonna suffer because of your own creation. And some people are not aware of what they are creating. Some people really don't know what they are creating, and that's okay. They're just going through it and doing it, and then end up being famous, and they're like, oh my God, wow. Famous or successful, or however we describe it. Let's say they have impact, right? They become impactful, and then everyone sees their dark side, because they did not have time to integrate the journey and process their emotions and go through all of this journey and detach from the whole thing. Right? And once you detach, once you integrate, then you are ready to go on and create something else, or create something new, or fine-tune what you already have created. And be honest with yourself about the things that make sense or don't make sense anymore, and the things that you've grown or have outgrown through that journey of creation, and everything that was part of it. So it's important to really understand this phase of integration and detach. Otherwise, it takes us out of our integrity, our chance to integrate the journey and not repeat the lessons, not repeat the cycles. And it also makes us really suffer because we attach. When we attach to our creation, we create an identity around it. And when we do that, what happens? When we create an identity around something that is not who we truly are, we are prone to suffering. Right? So it is a fine line here to really discern and really integrate what you have created and allow yourself to be a vessel of God again and create further on, as this is who you really are. The purpose of any creation is not about what you have created. It's about the creative process. It's about the journey. And the journey makes you feel good. And that's why you do it. And people always attach to this outcome. I'm going to do this because that will take me out of misery. That will take me out of survival. That will make me a millionaire. That will make me happy. That will make me feel love. That will make me that and that. No. You're doing it because it's fun. You're doing it because it's exciting. You're doing it because you want to live excited and alive instead of mediocre or whatever. And by doing that, you become a light for others as well. You become a light for the entire world. And what's the most magical thing to do than doing that and sharing your gifts, your magic with the world? I've been on many initiations with this until I could actually, until I was able to integrate and hold this awareness, So it made sense when I channeled these principles. I was ready to actually reflect myself in them and say, okay, all right, now I see, That's what most people don't stay in integrity. Most people go on the dark side, or they go in unending cycles of suffering, even though they are happy, even though they are successful, even though they reach a high level of impact, they still have to go through these journeys of intensity and you need to take time to integrate and detach a little bit from it and come back to who you are. Every time, whatever you are doing, whatever you are creating, come back to the essence, come back to yourself. Don't get lost into the creation. Cool. The next phase, the last phase, is repeat. This is very simple. This means that we are gonna repeat this whole principles of conscious creating all over again. So the fifth principle is repeat. We're gonna repeat this process infinitely over and over and over and over and over and over again during our entire life and beyond. This process of creation never stops. As long as the universe expands, there will gonna be things to create. When the universe contracts and implodes onto itself and doesn't exist, then there will be nothing to create. But we are living in a phase of expansion now, where there is so much to create, so many things to do. So you're gonna repeat these processes of creation, and therefore you need to be at peace with them and at peace with the journey, and do not strive only for the final destination, or the, you know, that moment where you think that you reach, when everything is gonna be where you don't have to create anymore or whatever. No, this is not a quick fix to be successful and be who you want to be. This goes in layers. As soon as when you master this and you become that which you want to be, then there's going to be another thing that you want to be and do and experience, and then another and another and another, and it goes on, and that's the process of life. That is why change is the only constant in this universe, in this life. This is how we grow and evolve. Constantly, continuously, that's the journey. That's what it means to be a master, is to actually understand this, not to sit on the throne of look at me, how big and important I am because I did this and that. No, the master is understanding the creation. The master understands the universal laws and the planetary laws and the natural laws involved in life, and goes with them, flows with them, rides the waves. That's what it means to be a master for me. Not a guru who accomplished something, or a king who accomplished something and is there and everyone now worships that person and so on. That's the old patriarchal way of, I don't know. I don't even know if it's patriarchal or not. I don't want to judge it for what it's not. I don't care. That's what life taught me, that there's always going to be a new journey. It's a spiral, life goes this way, up and up and up constantly, and we will keep revisiting some aspects of ourselves that we thought we dealt with as well, and refine them better and refine them better and refine them better and so on. And these are the structures, these 5 principles that I share with you are the structure for you to navigate this journey differently. And I have a community called the Creator Community, which helps people and supports and guides them. Every week we have calls there. We have coaching calls, empowering calls that helps you be in your creative momentum, that helps you break through to whatever you're going through and have clarity to whatever you're going through in your healing journey, in whatever journey you are on, which will lead you into the power of being a conscious creator. Because that's the intention in this community that I started. So if you feel called to be with me in that community, to connect with me, to expand yourself beyond what you have thought is possible, to up-level yourself, because also when you're in a community, we are growing so much faster and effective together, because we see each other's blind spots, right? We become mirrors for each other, and you can only grow, you can only expand, you can only allow more of this amazing creative energy to flow through you and do magical things in your life with it. Invest that in your purpose, invest that in your family, in your relationship, invest that into whatever you feel guided and called to. It's your choice, you are the creator. Okay, I'm just offering the space and the container so we can dive deep into that and receive proper support, proper empowerment, tools and practices to shift your consciousness. And also 24/7 chat support in case there's a breakthrough that you're going through and you want to share, or there's a challenge in your life that you want to share that you're going through, So if you feel to dive deeper, just reach out to me.